Hello and Happy New Year. Welcome to another episode of Jazzology presented by Savage Content. I'm your host, Willard Jenkins. We're here alternating Fridays, giving two jazz fans the opportunity to compete against each other for a chance to win $100. Each contestant will be asked a question worth 2 points. If they're unable to answer correctly, their opponent will have the chance to steal the question for 1 point. We will ask 10 questions. And at the end of the 10 questions, the person with the lowest score will get a bonus question for the opportunity to tie the score. If they're successful, the game will go to sudden death. In sudden death, each contestant will take turns trying to answer the final multiple choice question until we have a winner. The person in the lead at the end of regulation will go first. The contestants will alternate chances to answer the question until one gets it correct. Now let's meet this week's contestants. Our reigning champion is Brad Farberman, a guitarist and music journalist. Brad, what music playing and writing goals do you have for 2023?
I want to do a lot more of both. So that's the goal, more and more.
So more and more is your New Year's resolution, okay?
Just more and more.
All right. Our challenger is Paul Carr, a Maryland-based saxophonist, educator, and band leader who also produces the annual Mid-Atlantic Jazz Festival, which is coming up very soon. We'll ask Paul to give us some more complete details on the Mid-Atlantic Jazz Festival shortly. In the meantime, Paul, tell us briefly how a busy musician and educator like yourself has come to produce a jazz festival.
I was in a meeting and I didn't leave soon enough. And the next thing you know, I was the producer of the jazz festival.
Oh, okay. So this literally fell into your lap.
Absolutely. No, a very knowledgeable person actually recommended it. So and she knows she knows the business. So and she knew that I could do it. So I blame her.
All right. Well, let's get to today's Jazzology questions. And as our reigning champion, Brad Farberman goes first. And given this time of year when many of us are assessing the year just passed in review, some of these questions will be featuring artists who made notable recordings in 2022. Are you ready, Brad?
I'm going to try.
All right. Guitarist Mary Halverson, who contributed 2 fine records in 2022, studied under which member of the Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians, also known as the AACM? Would that have been A, Muhal Richard Abrams, B, George Lewis, C, Roscoe Mitchell, D, Anthony Braxton, or E, Nicole Mitchell?
Yeah, all just some of the greatest musicians in jazz. Nicole Mitchell is a great flutist. Roscoe Mitchell from Art Ensemble of Chicago. So these are some of the greats. But I do believe that Mary is one of the famous students of Anthony Braxton at Wesleyan.
Yes, indeed. That is correct. Mary Halverson studied at Wesleyan with Anthony Braxton, a member of the AACM and a National Endowment for the Arts Jazz Master. So, Paul, you're up next.
Okay.
Tenor saxophonist J.D. Allen contributed a fine album titled Americana Volume 2 in 2022. J.D. Allen is a native of what city? Is that A, St. Louis, B, Kansas City, C, Minneapolis, D, Detroit, or E, Philadelphia?
Wow. JD. Wow. I should know this. Super great player. Just love him. The city that I was actually thinking about is not on here. I'm going to cancel out Kansas City and probably Minneapolis, I guess. But don't hold me to that. Let me see. Let me see. Philadelphia. I think I'm going to go with D, Detroit.
D, Detroit?
Yes.
That is correct.
Right.
Tenor saxophonist J.D. Allen, who, as I mentioned, came out with a wonderful record in 2022 called Americana Volume 2, is a native of Detroit, Michigan. Brad, you ready?
Okay.
Cuban drummer Daphnis Prieto, whose 2022 release is titled Cantar, which includes contributions from the very wonderful Brazilian vocalist Luciana Souza. Daphnis Prieto was first introduced to North American audiences as a member of whose band? Would that be A, Chucho Valdez, B, Paquito de Rivera, C, the Buena Vista Social Club, D, Jane Bennett, or E, Hilario Duran?
Well, Buena Vista is wonderful, but I don't recall an association between them, although of course I could be wrong. Paquito de Rivera. What's that? Oh, I thought someone said something.
No.
Paquito, great clarinet player. I want to say either Paquito or Chucho Valdez.
Which one will it be?
Which one will it be? It'll be one of them. I'm gonna say Chucho Valdez.
That is incorrect. So that enables Paul Carr an opportunity to steal the point. Paul, the Cuban drummer and composer Daphnis Prieto, his 2022 release is titled Cantar, and it includes contributions from the wonderful Brazilian vocalist Luciana Souza. Daphnis Prieto was first introduced to North American audiences as a member of whose band? And we've eliminated Chucho Valdez from consideration. So would it be B, Paquito de Rivera, C, Buena Vista Social Club, D, Jane Bennett, or E, Hilario Duran?
Well, I know Paquito brings up a lot of cats, has a lot of young cats in his band. Danilo and so I'm going to go with B, Paquito.
That is incorrect as well. The correct answer to that question is Jane Bennett and her band Spirits of Havana. And it's interesting that you talk about Paquito bringing a lot of young cats up out of Cuba. Jane Bennett has been a true champion of bringing exceptional younger musicians out of Cuba to perform on the mainstream. She currently has a band, all Cuban women in her current band. So Jane Bennett and Spirits of Havana is the correct answer to that question.
That was a good question, that trick question.
So Paul,
okay,
in the late 1960s, early 1970s, NEA jazz master, saxophonist, and flutist Charles Lloyd led a great quartet that recorded the classic album Forest Flower at the 1966 Monterey Jazz Festival. That great quartet featured Keith Jarrett on piano, Jack DeJohnette on drums, and Who on bass. Would that have been A, Richard Davis. B. Gary Peacock. C. Ron McClure. D. Cecil McBee. Or E. Charlie Hayden.
This is one I should know. This is one I should know, you know.
It's your instrument.
Yes, this is the one I should know, and I am familiar with the record. It's just been a while since I know about the association with Keith Jarrett and Gary Peacock. I'm not familiar with association with Cecil McBee in any kind of way. Ron McClure. Could you repeat the question? No, I'm just kidding. Let me see. Okay, here we go. I think I'm going to go with E. Charlie Hayden.
Charlie Hayden?
Yes.
That is incorrect. And Brad with an opportunity to steal the point. Brad, in the late 1960s, early 1970s, NEA jazz master Charles Lloyd led a great quartet that recorded the classic album Forest Flower at the 1966 Monterey Jazz Festival. That great quartet featured Keith Jarrett on the piano, and for many of us, that was our introduction to Keith Jarrett. Keith Jarrett on piano, Jack DeJohnette on drums, and who on bass? Would that have been A, Richard Davis, B, Gary Peacock, C, Ron McClure, D, Cecil McBee, and E, Charlie Hayden has been ruled out. Brad, we're not hearing you, Brad. Brad, you're muted. You're still muted.
How about now?
Now.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Sorry. I was saying that was a great point. That, you know, Gary Peacock has a long association with Keith Jarrett. So that could make sense. Richard Davis, I can't think of him as having participated with them, although certainly he could have. Cecil McBee and Charlie Hayden. I feel like
Charlie Hayden's been ruled out.
Right, Charlie Hayden has been ruled out.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Cecil McBee and Charlie Hayden are the two bassists on Journey and Satchidananda, the great Alice Coltrane album.
Yep.
I believe that it's either Cecil or Ron McClure, and something is telling me it's Ron McClure.
That is incorrect. It was actually Cecil McBee, and Ron McClure later succeeded Cecil McBee as a member of that quartet. But it was actually Cecil McBee who made.
So I get a half point. A quarter point? No.
You get a tip of the hat.
Willard.
So Brad, you're up next. Brad, which of the following bass players is from Washington, D.C.? Would that be A, Butch Warren, B, Corcoran Holt, C, Amin Salim, D, Ben Williams, or E, all of the above?
Okay. And these are all bassists, right?
That's correct.
Another bassist question.
Yes, another bassist question.
Another bassist question. Let's see. Butch Warren from Thelonious Monk's band. And then Ben and Corcoran are some of the younger bass players. Something tells me all of the above.
That is correct. And you know, Brad, that was a question specifically for you as our reigning champion, because
I'm not from DC.
I'm sure that Paul Carr would have knocked that one out of the park. Okay, because not only are they all from DC, but Corcoran Holt, Amin Salim, and Ben Williams all went to the same Duke Ellington High School for the performing arts.
Right. Right.
So that was correct. All of the above. Jazzology is brought to you by Savage Content, an exciting new purveyor of quality music programming. From podcasts to live performances and interviews, Savage Content offers an eclectic mix of curated entertainment programming for all music lovers. Be sure to follow Savage Content on social media to hear about our latest releases, and check out the store on savagecontent.com to get your official Jazzology merchandise. Now, this week, as we celebrate a brand new year, we have a very special giveaway for our viewers. The first viewer who visits the Savage Content Instagram page and answers the viewer trivia question in the Jazzology highlight will receive a vinyl record from Immediate Family and Eshuni Records, a joint release of the latest album from the great Cuban percussionist vocalist Pedrito Martinez, Acertijos. And here it is. There we go. So go to Savage Content's Instagram page and answer our trivia question for a free vinyl copy of Pedrito Martinez's latest recording, Acertijos. And now it's time to ask our Jazzology contestants our favorite question. Savage Content has hosted 2 video essay contests asking contestants how they fell in love with jazz. So for each episode of Jazzology, we like to pose that question to our contestants. And Brad, you've been here before. You've answered this question before, so we'll ask it to you in a different way this time. Brad, what keeps you interested in jazz?
Yeah, I think I'm just always surprised. I'm also now the jazz curator at Tidal, the streaming service.
Okay.
And yeah, like there's so much great stuff came out this week, and it's just like, you know, this is like the slow time of year.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, like Fred Hirsch and Esperanza Spalding have a new album out today, which is fantastic. Jose James just released the new single today, an Erykah Badu cover. So much good stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's just like never ending.
It's the constant stream of new music. There's one thing that keeps you excited.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, this is your first time on the show, so Paul Carr, tell us, how did you fall in love with jazz?
I fell in love with jazz before I even started playing, because my mother used to play records all the time of jazz greats in the house. And so when she would come home, she'd put on jazz from work, and my sisters were playing the Four Tops and the OJs and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of a constant battle. But my mom used to play the records all the time. And as soon as I was old enough to grab an instrument, that's when I started trying to play it. And that's a good question that you posed to Brad too, because it's always something to learn too. You know, it's always something to learn about the music, you know, about playing, about new music. It's just you can never learn enough. You know.
No, you can't. It's a never-ending process, and you brought up a very important point. Is that so many of us fell in love with the music through exposure to our parents' record collections. You know?
Right.
Yeah. So let's go back to the questions, and Paul is up next. Paul, the late great multi-instrumentalist who was born Roland Kirk, who later changed his name to Rahsaan Roland Kirk, was a native of what Ohio city? Would that be A, Toledo, B, Columbus, C, Cleveland, D, Youngstown, or E, Cincinnati? Which of those towns was Rahsaan Roland Kirk from?
Ooh, okay. I don't recall many musicians coming from Toledo, jazz musicians, but I could be wrong.
Art Tatum and Stanley Cowell from Toledo.
Okay, I forgot who I was on. I forgot who I was online with. I'm sorry. I forgot for one second. And I know there's a bunch of cats from Cleveland, and you, Willard, are from Cleveland. Youngstown? Cincinnati. There's some cats also from Columbus too. I'm just gonna take a guess. I'm gonna take a guess. Cleveland seems obvious. I think I'm gonna go with Columbus.
Columbus?
Yeah.
That is correct. Roland Kirk, or later known as Rahsaan Roland Kirk, was a native of Columbus, Ohio. I'll tell you who else is from Columbus, Ohio. Todd Barkin and the Keystone Corners from Columbus, Ohio as well.
And Sean Thunder, I forget his last name. The
Wallace.
Yeah.
Thunder Wallace. Yeah. All right. So, Brad, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Brad, the late Cuban vocalist Mayra Caridad Valdez was introduced to many as a member of which of her family members' bands? Would that have been A, her father, Bebo Valdez, B, her nephew, Chuchito Valdez, C, her brother, Emilio Valdez, D, her brother, her nephew, Emilio Valdez, D, her brother, Chucho Valdez, or E, none of the above?
Wow, I don't know. I don't know, but I always love a story of a parent bringing their child into the band. So I'll guess Bebo Valdez.
That is incorrect. Paul Carr. Vocalist, the late Cuban vocalist Mayra Caridad Valdez was introduced to many as a member of which of her family members' bands? Her father, Bebo Valdez, great pianist, he's been eliminated. That leaves Chuchito Valdez, pianist, keyboardist, Emilio Valdez, Chucho Valdez, or E, none of the above. Paul's ruminating hard there.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with I want to say Choo Choo, but I have a great Choo Choo story too. I haven't told you, but I'm gonna go with E, none of the above.
That is incorrect. She was first introduced as a member of her brother, Chucho Valdez, band Irakere.
All right.
All right. So, Paul, you're up next.
Okay.
The young saxophonist Emmanuel Wilkins, who made the exceptional 2022 album The Seventh Hand on Blue Note Records, grew up in what city? Would that have been A, Pittsburgh, B, Brooklyn, C, Washington, D.C., D, Philadelphia, or E, Boston?
Emmanuel. Yeah, I've been hearing about him a long time. When he was, seems like, I don't think it's Brooklyn. And I know he just signed with with Boston Sax Shop, but that doesn't have anything to do with it. No, it's not DC. I'm gonna go with D, Philadelphia.
That is correct. Emmanuel Wilkins is a native of Philadelphia, and he studied with a man you may know. Do you know Lovett Hines?
No, I don't know him.
Okay, Lovett Hines is a man who's educated a lot of young Philadelphia musicians.
Lovett Hines. Man.
Yes, and so Emmanuel Wilkins grew up in Philadelphia. Brad.
Wow.
Brad, which of the following jazz artists grew up with a tenor saxophone playing father? Would that have been A, Terry Lynn Carrington, B, Melissa Aldana, C, Joe Lovano, D, Joshua Redman, or E, all of the above?
Okay. First of all, Joe Lovano is also from Ohio, correct?
Cleveland, Ohio.
But that's not the answer to this question.
No.
Joe Lovano had a tenor playing. That's why he had a tenor playing dad. Joshua Redman had a tenor playing dad, Dewey Redman, unless that's not the saxophone he played, but I believe it is. So I don't know about Terry and Melissa, but I'm going to say all of the above because I know it's Joe and Joshua.
That is correct. Terry Lynn Carrington's father, the man named Sonny Carrington, a tenor player who was very prominent in the Boston Jazz Society as well. And Melissa, interesting thing about Melissa Aldana, many of us were introduced to her when she won the Monk competition. And interestingly enough, her father had been a finalist in the Monk competition when Joshua Redman won.
Wow.
Wow. So wow. Yes, all of those musicians had tenor saxophone playing fathers. Paul.
Yes.
Name the New York City Jazz Club that was founded by the Brecker brothers, trumpeter Randy and saxophonist Michael. Was it A, the Zinc Bar, B, the Knitting Factory, C, 7th Avenue South, D, Sweet Basil, or E, the 55 Bar?
Okay. I don't think it's the 55 Bar because it recently closed, and I don't remember them saying anything about the Brecker brothers, but I could be wrong. And that's probably not the Zinc Bar because that's fairly recent. The Knitting Factory. Sweet Basil. You didn't say anything currently in your question. Oh, okay. Fine. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm going to go with, I think I'm going to 7th Avenue South.
That is correct. The Brecker brothers, Randy on trumpet, Michael on tenor, late Michael on tenor saxophone, they were the co-founders of 7th Avenue South. So what is our current score? Paul is up 8-6. And that brings us to the bonus round. And for the bonus round, we're going to deal with the subject of jazz literature. And Brad will go first on the bonus round. Brad, name the writer who wrote books on the classic jazz recording sessions: Miles Davis' Kind of Blue and John Coltrane's A Love Supreme. Would that have been A, Bob Blumenthal, B, Art Lang, C, Nat Hentoff, D, Ashley Kahn, or E, none of the above?
Right. Nat Hentoff is great. Not as familiar with A and B, but I do believe it's Ashley Kahn.
That is correct. And that takes us to our sudden death question. And we will continue with this question until we have a correct answer. And Paul will start first. Paul, the now classic book, Notes and Tones, was written by which of the following authors? Would that have been A, Arthur Taylor, B, A.B. Spellman, C, Leroy Jones, later known as Amiri Baraka, D, Albert Murray, or E, Robin D.G. Kelly?
I'm embarrassed to say that there's a couple of names here I don't know. So I'm going to go with Arthur Taylor.
That is correct. And Paul Carr has emerged as our champion.
There's no back and forth.
No, you answered correctly right out of the box.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you had answered incorrectly, then Brad would have an opportunity.
Oh, okay.
If you answered correctly right out of the box. Congratulations to Paul Carr on your win. And we encourage each and every one of you to try your hand at playing Jazzology. We're particularly encouraging more women to compete on Jazzology. And if anyone watching would like to become a contestant on Jazzology, click the link on this link below and simply fill out the form. You must be 18 years old or older. And be sure to follow us on social media at Savage Content to get all the latest news and releases. Thanks so much to both Brad Farberman, Paul Carr, and to everyone who joined us for our 21st episode of Jazzology today. Remember, you can check out Jazzology every other Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you missed the show live, you can find the archive on the Savage Content YouTube channel. Paul, give us some details on the Mid-Atlantic Jazz Festival, including what folks can expect and information on how our viewing audience can find out more about the Mid-Atlantic Jazz Festival.
Well, before I say,
you gotta flash that shirt.
I'll flash the T-shirt, and I just want to say, Brad is a bad man because I've been watching his shows. He's a bad man. He's a bad man. Now, the Mid-Atlantic Jazz Festival. This is going to be our 14th year. We present a live jazz, real jazz as we called it, every President's Day weekend. And it's in Rockville, Maryland, and you can go to the our website. It's www.midatlanticjazzfestival.org. And we take over the whole hotel. There's a lot of educational stuff. There's a lot of high school bands, college bands, and of course the finest in jazz. So please check us out.
All right, now? I know that question about 7th Avenue South and the Brecker Brothers that struck a chord with you because I know that Randy Brecker is one of the artists playing the Mid-Atlantic Jazz Festival, right?
Right. He is. Yeah, he's our Sunday night headliner with his band, Dennis Chambers, and the band is David Kokoski. The band is crazy. And there's Ada, his wife, playing tenor saxophone. It's gonna be crazy.
So midatlanticjazzfestival.org is where people can find out more information. And just to let you know, it's held in a hotel, and it's almost as though you never have to leave the hotel once you arrive because there's music around the clock. Right. So again, that's midatlanticjazzfestival.org. And thanks to Brad Farberman and Paul Carr for another edition of Jazzology. And we'll see y'all next time.